Confronting the Attacker is a pretty decent episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's a little slow at times, but the last few episodes are so brilliant. This is the 23rd episode of the 4th season. This is directed by Brian K. Roberts, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with Robert revealing he's going back to work and he's back with Amy. Everything is really positive. We're then in the car with Robert and Judy, and they get a call and Judy says, "I was hoping your first day back we'd have a homicide." They don't have a homicide. Some kids are causing issues in this store, and Robert keeps turning off the arcade game. The kid keeps turning it back on. He's very argumentative. He's a nasty piece of work, this kid. And Robert suddenly starts to display signs of anxiety. And thankfully, Judy is there to sort things out. And we'll come back to Robert in a second. We're then at the house, Ray and Debra's, and Frank and Maria there, and Amy comes over dressed very smartly. They're all going out to dinner to celebrate Robert going back to work and being back with Amy. And Robert then comes over, not dressed for dinner, and he reveals he doesn't feel like going out for dinner. And he kind of barks at Amy a little bit, which is not great. I don't blame him necessarily, given his headspace. I feel like it's the best he could do in the moment, but it definitely wasn't the best attitude. And Amy, obviously annoyed, leaves, and Robert tells Marie to be quiet and ultimately admits that he's quit the force. And he does admit quite quickly, it doesn't take too long to find out, that he got scared and he no longer wants to do this. And this scene does last quite a long time. I think the pacing of this scene isn't great, but Robert leaves and the others are talking, and Debra suggests that maybe Robert needs to see somebody, to speak to somebody about this, which seems very sensible. And eventually we get to one of the last scenes, and Ray takes Robert for a walk. Not to make him sound like a dog, but he suggests they go for a walk, and they do. And he takes Robert to this petting zoo, the Fuzzy Acres petting zoo. And initially I was confused about why he had done this. And then I thought, well, maybe it's like therapy for him to spend time with nice, cute, cuddly animals. But then we find out that actually the bull that speared Robert in the butt is now at this petting zoo. And Ray is there to help Robert face his attacker and confront his fear. And I will say, maybe Ray shouldn't have done this without talking with Robert, because I feel like he's throwing him into therapy without any support from a professional and without any heads up for Robert. But it does play out well in the episode. Robert approaches this bull who's very calm, and initially he doesn't want to interact with a bull, but then he sees a child interacting and he realises, well, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can approach the bull a bit. And he does, and he talks to the bull and he feeds the bull some hay, and he ends up having a nice conversation with the bull. And the next thing we know, he's rejoined the force and he goes over to see Amy, and Amy doesn't blink or move very much, and he kind of treats her the way he treated the bull. But it's nice to see that he's starting to have a more positive outlook. And then we end with a safety message from Officer Robert standing next to the bull. We get to see a clip of Robert being chased by the bull again, and he's giving safety on crossing roads and things. And it's a really nice, happy, positive way to end things. And I thought it was a really good way to show that Robert is back at work. So for me, the personal highlights would be from the moment Ray took Robert to this petting zoo right until the end. I thought everything played out really well. The scene where Robert admitted he'd quit the force was a little long, a little slow, but some good moments were there. And the events leading up to that, showing Robert's physical response to this anxiety that overcame him when he was with Judy, was, I think, very valuable as well. So some really good moments in this. It's not a perfect episode, but Confronting the Attacker is still really strong. Definitely a lot of good moments in this, and ultimately an episode that I definitely enjoyed.